Hey there, I'm Sandra, 28 years old, and up until recently, I thought I had life all figured out. I manage a high-end electronics store downtown, and I was living what I thought was my best life with my husband, Michael, in our cozy apartment. But then, well, let me tell you how it all went south. It started when Michael's older brother, William, lost his job. Michael, being the soft-hearted guy he is, suggested William stay with us just for a few weeks. I wasn't thrilled, but I tried to be supportive. I mean, family scambling, right? It'll only be a little while, Michael said, giving me those puppy dog eyes. He just needs to get back on his feet. I sighed, already feeling a bit uneasy. Fine, but he needs to pull his weight around here. Fast forward a month and William was still camped out on our couch, making zero effort to find a job. Our apartment felt smaller by the day, and the tension, well, you could cut it with a knife. One morning, as I was getting ready for work, I tripped over one of William's discarded pizza boxes. For crying out loud, William, I muttered. Michael poked his head out of the bathroom, toothbrush in hand. What's wrong, babe? I gestured at the mess. Does this look okay to you? Your brothers turned our living room into a landfill. Michael looked uncomfortable, shrugging. He's going through a rough patch. We just need to be patient. Patient. I was about to lose it, but I bit my tongue and headed to work, grateful for the escape. At the store, my boss Angela noticed my mood. You look like you could use a coffee, Sandra. Everything all right? I forced a smile. Just some family stuff, nothing I can't handle. My colleague Jason chimed in. Family drama. Do tell. I laughed, appreciating the distraction. Maybe later. Let's focus on those new product launches, yeah? As I was setting up a display, Mr. Oliver, our stern HR manager, approached me. Sandra, a moment. My heart skipped a beat. Did I do something wrong? No need to look so worried, he said, noticing my expression. I just wanted to remind you about our employee discount policy. It's a valuable benefit, but remember it's strictly for personal use only. I nodded, relieved. Absolutely, Mr. Oliver. I always play by the rules. Later that night, I met my best friend Lisa for drinks. I desperately needed to vent. Lisa, I'm at my wit's end. William's been with us for a month, and all he's done is raid our fridge and leave a trail of mess everywhere. Lisa frowned. That's not right. Have you talked to Michael about it? I nodded, frustrated. He just keeps making excuses for William. I don't know how much longer I can take this. You need to put your foot down, Lisa advised. It's your home too, you know. I knew she was right, but the thought of confronting Michael and William made my stomach churn. As I headed home, I braced myself for another evening of tension and dirty dishes. Little did I know, this was just the tip of the iceberg. The next Monday at work, I decided to check my employee account. Something didn't feel right, and when I opened the recent purchases, my heart nearly stopped. A 75-inch TV, 3 high-end gaming laptops, all charged to my employee discount. I felt sick to my stomach as I scrolled through the purchases, seeing a shipping address I'd never heard of. There was only one explanation. William. He must have somehow gotten hold of my discount code. That evening, I confronted him in our living room. Care to explain these? I shoved the printout of purchases in his face. William barely looked up from his phone. Oh yeah, thanks for letting me use your discount. Got some sweet deals. Letting you? I never said you could use my employee discount. I was practically shouting now. He rolled his eyes. Chill out, Sandra. You said I could use it that one time, remember? It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? This could cost me my job. Michael walked in, looking concerned. What's going on? I turned to him, hoping for support. Your brother's been using my employee discount without permission. He's jeopardizing my job. To my disbelief, Michael frowned at me. Come on, I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. William wouldn't do that. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you kidding me? You're taking his side. I'm not taking sides, Michael said, but his tone said otherwise. Maybe you did tell him he could use it and forgot. I felt like I was losing my mind. I'd never forget something as serious as giving out my discount code. This was my career on the line. The argument went on for hours, with William playing the victim and Michael defending him. That night, I went to bed feeling utterly alone in my own home. The next day at work, my worst fear came true. Mr. Oliver called me into his office, his expression grave. Sandra, We've noticed some unusual activity on your employee account. Care to explain? My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear myself speak. Mr. Oliver, I can explain. It wasn't me, it was. He held up a hand, cutting me off. We take these matters very seriously, Sandra. There will be a full investigation. Until then, I suggest you refrain from using your discount privileges. I nodded, feeling numb as I left his office. Angela, my boss, pulled me aside. Sandra, what's going on? I overheard your conversation with Mr. Oliver. I broke down and told her everything. Her face grew more concerned with every word. Oh, Sandra, she said softly, you need to understand how serious this is. If the investigation doesn't go in your favor, you could be terminated. The company might even pursue legal action for fraud. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. I could lose my job, my career, everything I'd worked so hard for, all because of William's selfishness and Michael's blind loyalty. I felt completely trapped. My home life was in shambles. My marriage was on the rocks, and now my job was hanging by a thread. How had everything gone so wrong so fast? And more importantly, how was I going to fix this mess? The next day at work, I pulled Jason aside during lunch. Jason, I need your help. You're good with computers, right? He nodded, looking intrigued. What's up? I took a deep breath and spilled everything. To his credit, Jason listened without interrupting, his eyes widening as I explained. Damn, that's messed up. Of course, I'll help. Let's do some digging. Over the next few days, Jason and I worked tirelessly, scouring online marketplaces and tracing the items purchased with my discount. It didn't take long to find William's reselling accounts. Look at this, Jason said, pointing at his screen. These accounts go back years. Your brother-in-law has been running scams like this for a while. I felt a mixture of vindication and disgust. That snake. I bet he's done this to other people too. But I need more concrete evidence. That night, I set my phone to record and confronted William again. William, I know you used my employee discount without permission. I want you to admit it. He scoffed, unaware he was being recorded. Whatever, Sandra. Yeah, I used your discount. So what? It's not like you were using it. You had no right to do that. You've put my job at risk. Not my problem, he sneered. Maybe you should have thought about that before you gave me the code. I never gave you the code. You stole it, I replied, furious. William just shrugged and walked away. I stopped the recording, my hands shaking with anger. The next day, while William was out, I searched his room. In his email, I found messages to Michael, painting me as the bad guy and manipulating him into taking his side. I forwarded them to myself, feeling sick but determined. That evening, I called Lisa. I can't stay here anymore. Can I crash at your place for a while? Of course, honey. Come over right now. I'll help you pack. As we loaded my suitcase into Lisa's car, Michael came home. Sandra, what's going on? Where are you going? I couldn't even look at him. I'm staying with Lisa for a while. I need some space to think. He tried to speak, but I cut him off. No, Michael. You chose your side, now I'm choosing mine. At Lisa's apartment, I finally felt like I could breathe. She hugged me tightly. You're doing the right thing. Have you thought about legal action? I nodded. I have a friend from college who is a lawyer. I'm meeting her tomorrow. The next day, I met with Sarah, my lawyer friend. She listened carefully to my story and examined the evidence I'd gathered. Sandra, you've got a strong case here, not just against William, but potentially against the company if they try to terminate you unfairly. For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. So what should I do? Keep gathering evidence. Don't confront William or Michael again. And stay professional at work. Buy time if you can, but don't do anything that could be seen as obstructing their investigation. Back at work, the atmosphere was tense. Mr. Oliver called me in for another meeting. Sandra, our investigation is ongoing. We're going to need to see your personal financial records. I took a deep breath, remembering Sarah's advice. I understand, Mr. Oliver. I'm fully cooperating with the investigation, but I'd like to request a few days to get those records in order. Is that all right? He nodded, slightly surprised by my calm demeanor. Of course. Please have them ready by Friday. As I left his office, I saw Angela watching me with concern. I gave her a small, determined smile. I was walking a tightrope, but I wasn't going to fall. Not this time. William had messed with the wrong person, and I was going to make sure he faced the consequences. Friday morning, I walked into Mr. Oliver's office with my head held high and a folder full of evidence. Angela was there too, looking nervous but supportive. Mr. Oliver, Angela, before we proceed with the investigation, there's something you need to see. I laid out everything. The recordings, the emails, the online reselling accounts. Their expressions shifted from skepticism to shock as they sifted through the evidence. Sandra, this is quite something, Mr. Oliver said, his usual stern demeanor softened. Why didn't you come to us earlier? I needed to be sure. I couldn't risk my career on suspicions alone. Angela spoke up. This clears you completely, Sandra, but it also means we have a serious case of fraud on our hands. Mr. Oliver nodded gravely. Indeed. We'll be pursuing legal action against William. Sandra, your handling of this situation has been exemplary. Relief washed over me, but I knew this was just the beginning. That evening, I met Michael at a coffee shop. His face was a mix of confusion and worry. Sandra, what's going on? Why did you want to meet here? Without a word, I slid the folder of evidence across the table. Michael's face fell as he read through William's manipulative emails. I don't know what to say, Sandra. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. Part of me wanted to forgive him on the spot, but the hurt was still too raw. You should have, Michael. I'm your wife. I needed you to trust me, and you didn't. Can we fix this? Us? I sighed. I don't know, Michael. I need time. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. The company pressed charges against William for fraud. As news spread, his online reselling accounts were shut down, and he was banned from major platforms. Then, something unexpected happened. An old acquaintance of William's saw his arrest in the news and came forward with evidence of a past scam. William was hit with additional charges. I watched from afar as his carefully constructed house of cards came crashing down. Part of me felt sorry for him, but a bigger part felt vindicated. At work, things took a surprising turn. Mr. Oliver called me into his office again, but this time with good news. Sandra, in light of recent events and your exceptional handling of a difficult situation, we'd like to offer you a promotion. How does regional manager sound? I was speechless. Thank you, Mr. Oliver. I'd be honored. As I settled into my new role and my new apartment, I reflected on everything that had happened. The betrayal, the struggle, the vindication. It had all taught me valuable lessons of self-respect and setting boundaries, even with family. Michael and I were talking again, slowly rebuilding trust. Whether we fully reconcile, only time would tell, but I knew one thing for sure. I was stronger now, more successful, and free from toxic influences. Looking out the window of my new office, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The road had been tough, but I'd come out on top. Whatever challenges lay ahead, I knew I was ready to face them head on.